Today's lesson is on multiplying polynomials. If you remember from the last section, we multiplied monomials by a polynomial, and today we are going to look at multiplying polynomials by polynomials. So this example is a binomial times a binomial. So when multiplying these, we're going to make sure we multiply everything in the first parentheses by everything in the last parentheses. So we are going to start off taking our 2x times our 3x, which would give us 6x squared. Then we are going to take our 2x times 5, giving us a positive 10x. Next, we are going to take 4 times our 3x, giving us a positive 12x. And then lastly, taking our 4 times our 5 to give us 20. When multiplying a binomial times a binomial, a common term is FOIL. The F stands for multiplying the first terms, so that would be how we got our 6x squared. We multiplied 2x and 3x, which are the first terms in each of our polynomials. The O stands for the outer values, so that would be to get our 10x squared. So we took 2x, which is on the outside, and 5, which is also on the outside. I is for inner, which is how we get the 12x. We take the 4 and the 3x squared, and those are on the inside. And then the L stands for last, and that's how we get the 20. Taking 4 times 5, and both of those are the last terms of our polynomial. And then after we multiply all of those, we're going to combine our like terms, getting 6x squared plus 22x plus 20. Okay, we're going to do another example. So again, we have a binomial times a binomial, so we can use our FOIL method. So we're going to take the first terms of both of them, multiply those together to get x squared. Then we do our outside terms to get a positive 9x. Then our inner terms to get a negative 4x. And then the outside ones to get a negative 36. And then combine our like terms, x squared plus 5x minus 36. Now we will look at a trinomial times a binomial. So we're going to use the same idea of multiplying everything in the first parentheses times the second parentheses. But if you notice, there's more than just 2 in the first one, so we can't use our FOIL term. So first we're going to take our m squared and multiply it by everything in our second parentheses. So we'll have m squared times 2m minus 7. Next we take our second term, 2m times 2m minus 7. And then we take our third term, negative 4 times 2m minus 7. Okay. Now we're going to multiply just like we did in the last section. This is just multiplying multiple monomials times a polynomial. So m squared times 2m is going to give us 2m cubed. And then it's going to be negative 7m squared. Then we have our 2m times 2m, 4m squared. And our 2m times negative 7, negative 14m, negative 4 times 2m, negative 8m, negative 4 times negative 7, which is positive 28. And then again, we're going to combine our like terms. And actually, this one up here should be cubed. There we go. So if we look, we only have the one cubed term. So that's just going to say 2m cubed. Then we have two squared terms. So that will give us negative 3m squared. Then our power is just to the first power, which will give us a negative 22m. And we only have one constant, so plus 28. Instead of separating it like we did in this first step here, you can just take each term and multiply it separately out using the arcs like we did with the FOIL method. Sometimes separating it out makes it a little easier, so then you make sure you remember all of them, since there's 3 in the first one, and that kind of gets to be a lot. So either way works. We're going to do one last example, and with this example we are going to multiply it vertically. So if you remember, we have bigger one, the one with more terms on top. So it'd be our x cubed minus x, or 8x squared. There is no x term, so we are going to put a placeholder in there. So that would be 0x, because that's the same as 0. And we want to put that placeholder in there so then when we multiply, our columns are going to have this same variable in there. So we'll have all x's together, all x squared in the same column, and all x cubed in the same column. And if you do not like using this method, then you can certainly do the previous method that we just used. This is just to show that there is more than one. Usually with math, there's always more than one way to get to an answer. So this is just one more option for you. So first we're going to start with our 4. 4 times 9 gives us 36. 4 times 0x is going to be 0x. Our 36 is positive. 4 times negative 8x squared is going to give us a negative 32x squared. And then 4 times x cubed give us 4x cubed. And then we're going to do our 3x. Since we're moving over a place when we're multiplying, we're going to put a 0 there at the last spot. So 3x times 9 gives us 27x. That's positive. 3x times 0x is going to give us 0x squared. 3x times negative 8x squared will give us a negative 24x cubed. And 3x times x cubed is going to give us 3x to the 4th. Okay. And now we are going to add straight down. So 36 plus 0 is 36. 0x plus 27x is 27x. Negative 32x squared plus 0x squared is going to give us a negative 32x squared. 4x cubed plus a negative 24x cubed is going to give us a negative 20x cubed. And then we don't have anything to add to our 3x to the 4th, so it just stays 3x to the 4th. So in both of these methods, as you can see, we're taking everything in our first parentheses and multiplying it by everything in our last parentheses. So whichever method you like is the one that you can use, and just make sure if you're using this method that if there is no term, you need to put a 0 x, or if there was no x squared term, you'd have to put a 0x squared just to hold that place, so then when we get down to the bottom here, all of our columns line up.